While Canada's fiercest military battles may have been fought in distant countries, what many may not know is that our longest running military operation takes place right here at home. It's called Operation Palachi, an armed mission in one of the most stunning parts of the country. The difference here is that the enemy is a mountain, and the avalanches that come roaring down with such force can easily demolish a house, clear a forest, or claim a life. It's why they call this battle the Snow War.
There is something so mesmerizing about snow pouring down a mountainside, you almost forget how powerful it is. Snow that appears almost liquid, and a cloud of powder that looks to burst like a thunderstorm in late July. But behind this spectacle of nature is a force not to be mistaken, and to control it, they've called in the army. Members of the 5th Regiment Canadian Light Artillery are posted here in Rogers Pass, just west of the Rockies, all winter long. Their job? To start controlled slides so the Trans-Canada Highway and the railway stay open.
Who makes the ultimate call whether or not you're going to blast?
That would be me. Okay, Danielle, there we go.
Jeff Goodrich is the senior avalanche officer for Mount Revelstoke and Glacier National Parks. It's his job to assess the stability of the snow and make the call whether to close the highway and the railway and blast.
341.
I have block 0, so you can close the road at this time.
The C-3-105 howitzer was used in the Korean War before it was used here in Operation Palachi. Its payload, 2.3 kilos of explosives. And when it unleashes a weak layer of snow, the highway becomes a powder cloud.
The avalanche potential through Rogers Pass is the highest of any public highway in Canada. If we didn't have the avalanche control program, this route would be impossible in the winter.
What most may not realize is the hazard they're driving through. In a mere 40-kilometer stretch, there are 134 avalanche paths that could hit the road. You can make them out on the slope like scars on the mountain. If a natural avalanche does hit the highway, not only does a closure cost $20 million a day, the risk to the people traveling on it is enormous.
There's incredible potential for harm here, and that's why we need to have such an elaborate avalanche control program. We've been characterized by the military as a no-fail operation.
Only a week before we arrived, this semi-truck was pushed off the road and jacked a meter up by an unexpected slide. And while the driver walked away from this one, the deadliest avalanche ever recorded in Canada also happened at Rogers Pass, back in 1910, when 58 railway workers out clearing an earlier slide were killed.
You just have to treat this area with incredible respect.
It all comes down to a giant game of chicken. Close the highway too early or too often, and it will cost the economy tens of thousands of dollars. Wait, and the snow will come down on its own. To be able to forecast what could hit this valley, Jeff must travel to the elevation where avalanches start. To the top of Mount Fidelity, where he and his team of avalanche techs look for signs of instability.
There's a surfaceor, size 7.
And in this snow pit, the warning sign is so clear you can see it with the naked eye.
This is a sliding layer where avalanches can start, and this would be the slab that would release and come down the slope. They may be difficult to trigger, but if we get an avalanche, it's going to be big.
Avalanche crest, target 4.
That sugary layer of loose crystals is the perfect surface to trigger what's called a slab avalanche, the most destructive and powerful type. It's because that layer could give way at any time, soldiers are stationed at Rogers Pass, a tradition that goes back more than 50 years. They live in these barracks, eat, train, and wait for the mountain to move. To cross the Rockies, you have three options: Rogers Pass, the Yellowhead Highway to the far north, or Kootenay Pass, about 5 hours south. There's no military to help out in the avalanche control program here, just Rob Anderson and his team of 4.
So the area that we're going up to right now is called the North Fork Avalanche area, and this is the side that we have most of our repeat offenders.
Kootenay Pass would have made for the perfect gateway, were it not for two crucial mistakes.
If they had to build this highway again today, would they build it as they did?
No, we could avoid probably 95% of the avalanche terrain up here by properly engineering the highway.
Because this is technically an engineering flaw, this highway.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Makes your job a little bit difficult.
It does, but it's also job security.
When the road was put in back in the 60s, it was built on the south-facing side of the valley, the sunny side. The rationale being the sun would help melt the snow, not trigger slides. They also built the road partway up the mountain, or in other words, right in the middle of the avalanche path.
You're literally up against the odds here.
Yeah, for sure. No, they didn't do the avalanche technicians any favors when they placed the highway where they did.
It means even a moderate slide can wipe out the road, like this controlled one that roars down the mountain and over the highway as if it wasn't even there. It's why Rob and his team have a unique approach to controlling slides. About twice a week, they head up in helicopters to bomb, triggering manageable slides instead of waiting for a large, unexpected one. Each bomb is made on site from ammonium nitrate fuel oil, essentially a fertilizer and diesel mix, and ignited with a blasting cap.
I wasn't expecting that you would be making your own bombs here.
Yeah, if you're going to get into the avalanche control industry, then you're building bombs.
Once the first fuse is lit, the team has 90 seconds to drop as many bombs as they can in the start zone of slides before clearing away and watching the show.
That's what I like to see. Whoa.
When you drop a bomb and you trigger a big slide, any sense of satisfaction?
Oh, absolutely. When your decisions are confirmed by, good results like that, then it's very rewarding.
Proof that Rob's intuition was right can be seen in the aftermath, in what's known as crowns, the fracture line in the start zone where the unstable layer has given way, triggering a slab avalanche. The edge so distinct, it's as if someone cut the slope with a knife. Avalanches are rated in size from 0 to 5, measured by the destruction they can cause. And this is what a size 2.5 avalanche looks like, knocking over mature trees like bowling pins. To get a sense from the ground how substantial an avalanche that size is, we decided to walk right through one.
We'd estimate that the average density of this deposit would be somewhere between 350 and 500 kilograms per cubic meter. It's a massive amount of snow.
And it's plain to see, there's no crawling out of this.
Oh yeah, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and we're in the middle of a storm.
Much of what Rob does is drive up and down this highway, often at night, at the height of instability, looking for signs of a natural slide, and that the snowpack is starting to give way. That's when he may call for blasting, using another part of his arsenal. It's called GAZEX, and it is the hallmark of the avalanche control program at Kootenay Pass. It consists of 23 fixed cannons triggered remotely meaning Rob can blast as often as needed and when it's too treacherous to fly. The province started installing the cannons back in the summer of 2010, right onto the side of the mountain in the start zone of avalanche paths. The pipes are fed separate lines of oxygen and propane. Once the gases mix, they're ignited by a 13,000-volt spark, sending a compression wave through the snowpack. Because GasX is so integral here, it's grown to become the largest program of its kind in the country. Avalanche control at Kootenay Pass begins in November, and some years will continue all the way through May. Because of the unrelenting nature of the job, the other hazard is burnout.
We try to stick to a maximum of about 36 hours straight.
Straight, not a week, straight.
Yeah, for one technician. We have to be really conscious of the effects of sleep deprivation on ourselves, on our decision making.
Kilos of explosives.
Well, that's just it.
The day we were with Rob was a quiet one, thankfully. The air cold, the wind brisk, the snow stable. And just as we packed up to leave, the forecast came in. Another storm was about to hit.
Next, a scientist blames a pesticide for turning frogs from male to female.
Males would develop eggs in their testes or develop ovaries in addition to testes or essentially turn into hermaphrodites.